Eddie, congratulations, mate. 350 games and a stellar career. Just on the games milestone to reach 350, what does that mean to you and your family?
Oh, thank you. First, yeah, to reach 350 games, it's unbelievable. When you're growing up, you think about playing AFL footy, and coming through the systems of TAC Cup. Your dream was to play AFL footy and to play, one game of AFL footy. That was the dream, and here I am now, 17 years later, 350 games to finish on. I kind of pinch myself, to be honest, just understanding about my journey and where I've come from, and how I got to where I am and what I've achieved over those years. It's kind of, I sit back and think, wow, it's pretty exciting. But yeah, I still can't believe that I played 150 games.
Do you remember back in the times and back in 2005 and Shane Sullivan recruited you, and the amount of time that you spent in his office? How much of an impact has he had on your career?
Yeah, Shane O'Sullivan. I thanked him yesterday in my speech. He was a father figure for me at this football club. Moving across to Melbourne, just with my mother and my auntie and our cousins, and getting drafted to Carlton, and Shano being there to help support me the whole way through my journey. It's been unbelievable. There was a point there where I almost finished up. I think it was 2007, maybe 2009. And I rang Shano and I said to Shano that I'm done footy, I don't want to play anymore. And Shano told me to come to his office. We sat down, we spoke about it, and basically convinced me to continue to play. And, I thank him for that, and the ongoing support that he showed me. Even when I moved to Adelaide for 6 years, he still supported me and rang me nearly, once a fortnight to see how I was going. And he was basically texting me to come back to Carlton, so he predominantly got me back to Carlton. But yeah, he's been an amazing support for myself and my family.
Eddie, what are you proudest of across what you've achieved in football, both on and off field?
What am I proudest of? Probably my children. It will be one of those. My kids. I got 5 crazy kids now. 5 beautiful, wonderful, crazy kids, and. My son, they've been brought up in the AFL world. Telling Louis the other day, I've known for 3 weeks that I wasn't going to get offered another contract, but I only told Louis the other day that this is it for me. I'm done, and that was probably the hardest conversation that I had to have with somebody, because he broke down in tears, because this is his life. He's grew up in this world, and I said the next thing's going to be different. The next chapter is going to be a bit better, and. I'll be supporting you now through your football journey if you want to play footy, but it'll be that, and probably standing up for what I believe in, and that's racism here within Australia. Watching what Adam went through and what he did and what he received wasn't nice to see, and he gave me that voice and that strength to stand up and talk about, and then to believe in myself and have the strength and courage to stamp out racism here in Australia, and call it out when I see it and educate people, and that's probably one thing that I'm really proud of doing with the latest stage of my journey in the AFL.
And just you touched on, you said 3 weeks ago is when you found out. Can you talk us through a little bit what that process was like, and was there a particular, your foreman certainly in the back from about third way through the season has been pretty solid. Was there a particular reason why they sort of decided not to offer you a contract from their end?
Yeah, it was. Sitting down, having that conversation 3 weeks ago, because I wanted to know, and I said, listen, I've got stuff that I'm going to be doing outside of footy, so at least give me a heads up, so then I can start organising a few things. And we sat down, had that conversation, and I was happy with the decision. I was a bit disappointed. I was really sad at first, because I felt like I wanted to go on, because I love working with the young players, especially the young small forwards, and Matty Owies and Josh Honey and those boys. And I really, liked the way that they developed this year. And so I was a bit disappointed, but on the other phase, I was pretty wrapped and pretty happy to start the next phase of my career. And we sat down and we spoke about it. Like we said, we've got some great small forwards coming through. And I'm 34 going on to 35, so I'm not getting any younger, and footy's it is pretty tough. It is a really tough game. You know, if it was easy, everybody would be playing, but it is pretty draining and mentally tough at stages. And so I was happy, to be honest, I was happy with the decision. And now I'm just looking forward for the next phase of my career.
Do you want that next? Sorry, I was just going to say, what does that next phase look like for you? And is there a role within the AFL? I can imagine that someone like you could still achieve so much within the AFL if you're willing.
Yeah, I spoke to the players yesterday, and I said to them that I believe I've got a bigger role to play now. My journey is only just beginning. You know, I want to stamp out racism in Australia. I want to make change, and I told them that I can't do that by myself. I need their help as well. And at this stage, you know, I'm working with Coles throughout Australia and within the communities. I'm working with Fox Footy at the moment, which is really nice, and I'll continue to do that. And I'm in the process of starting up my own foundation. We're in the process of bringing a team together to help out young Aboriginal kids throughout Australia to achieve their goals and their dreams and be leaders in whatever aspect they want to do.
You've obviously been involved in the game for a long time, Eddie. The current situation of the club, how far off do you think they are from challenging? Obviously, it's been a difficult year, but you've been at the club for a long time now. How far off do you think this side is from taking that next step?
I think they're not far off, you know. And I said to the boys, I said, listen, I played for a different side. I played for the Adelaide Crows, and you know, we went to a grand final in 2017. We didn't have a talented side. We had guys that played their role, and everyone played their role. We had success on the field, and this young list that we have here, it's so talented. It's so talented. They just got to believe in themselves, and they got to play their role. And once everyone plays their role, soon enough, and then eventually this team will get success. And I can't wait to see what happens in the next couple of years. I'll be still supporting them, and still watching them and the Adelaide Crows. And I believe that, you know, it's only around the corner.
Eddie, I know this might be difficult, but what is your favourite goal that you've kicked?
My favourite goal, I always ask my son. My son will tell me which one. I'd have to say the GWS one, the goal of the year. It was Sir Doug Nicholls round and at Adelaide Oval. And what's so special about that is my dad's sister, Auntie Susie Betts, designed the jersey. It was from, you know, the far west coast of South Australia in Port Lincoln, and they got her over, my grandmother over, my dad over from Port Lincoln, set them up in the box, and to kick that goal on Sir Doug Nicholls round and to win goal of the year in it was unbelievable. So that would be the best goal.
Eddie, can you give us a snapshot of those other three goals of the year? Your mindset of those particular goals?
Yeah, well, the first one was the MCG against Collingwood, round 18, I think it was, around 20. I remember it clearly because Heath Scotland got knocked out, and I keep telling him about it. Helen Didak ran through and knocked Heath Scotland out. There was a big brawl in the middle. The ball went forward. I think Lockyer hand passed it. I intercepted it from the boundary, check side, goal. I remember Fed putting his hands up trying to call for the ball, and I didn't see him. I just saw the goals and went for it. And yeah, it was great to win a goal of the year. And the second one, I don't know which one came after. I think it was the left foot torpedo, I think, in the wet on the boundary against Fremantle in Sir Doug Nicholls round as well. So that was pretty awesome. And then the third one was the GWS one, the one that I just spoke about. That was my favourite goal. And the last one was in my 300th game against Gold Coast, Adelaide Oval, in the same pocket. I reckon I should name that pocket now once I'm done, Don't you think? Should just make it my end down there.
100%.
Yeah, well, that was pretty awesome. It was pretty, you know, pretty cool to kick those goals and for those to go in. To be honest, I always tell people I don't know how they go in. I just try to kick it in that direction, and most of the time it goes in.
Eddie, you mentioned yesterday that you'd hoped you'd put a smile on the faces of fans across the competition. I think everyone can agree you've done that hundreds of times over. What has it meant for you to be the entertainer that you've been? You obviously enjoy your football when you're playing your best, but what's it meant to be the entertainer that you are?
For me, and that's just the way that I live my life, the way that I've been brought up, the way that my father taught me, is that to be nice, to be kind, to treat everyone equally, to respect one another. to treat someone the way that you would like to be treated, and to put smiles on people's faces and to make people happy. So I kind of brought that into my footy life, and to make people smile and to kick goals, to try entertain. And to be honest with you, it's been hard without no crowds, so you got to try and figure out to bring the energy yourself. And you know, to finish off this year, 350, no crowds. You know, I'm pretty stoked and pretty rapt, even though there's still no crowds there. You know, I think of it as my 300 was probably my last game in a sense of that week was the best week that I've ever had in my life, building up to that week with family, friends, playing on Adelaide Oval, getting to win, and having everyone there in the room, you know, family, friends that travelled all over Australia to be there with you. So I look back on that, so finishing off this week on 350 with no crowds there doesn't really bother me. I would say that 300 was my most important one.
Eddie, congrats on a superb career. You talked a little bit earlier about your various sort of, you know, what you're most proud of. What about the biggest challenges, the sort of various hurdles along the journey? Were there any sort of points where you genuinely felt like pulling the pin? Yeah, there's been a lot of ups and downs. You know, I've been arrested here in Victoria, the old famous boat cruise, if I don't want to bring the boat cruise back up. But yeah, there's been a lot of challenges, and I guess, you know, having my family, having my wife there by my side the whole time to support me was the one that really helped drive my career forward and to get it back on the right track. And I guess, you know, from then onwards, I try to make myself and my teammates better, especially the young Aboriginal kids that come into the system. Me and my wife would keep our house open for those young kids, and they, you know, we had Charlie Cameron live with us, Tyson Stengel, and a lot of Aboriginal boys that we played with would come around and have a feed and have a yarn, and we'll chat to them and try and make them not feel homesick. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of ups and downs, but I wouldn't change anything of, you know, the journey that I've had. And you mentioned before just watching what Adam went through. I appreciate your situation's different, but you showed last week how draining it's been to, you know, continually fight racism. Is your love of the game as strong as it's ever been, and do you feel like have you been well supported by the AFL and, you know, the broader AFL community in terms of this fight?
I feel like we're getting better. I don't feel like it's safe at the moment. I honestly don't. I feel like there's still a lot of racism, and this year there has been a lot of racism, and it's been draining and it's been tiring. And, you know, every year we see myself and the other Aboriginal boys standing up, trying to call it out, trying to make a stance. And you know, speaking to Gil recently, you know, we've got to be stronger. We've got to somehow catch these people and keep them accountable for what they say online or over the fence. And it has been really tough and really draining, and that's why I told everyone last week that I need everyone's help. I'm not the one that's going to make change. It's the non-Aboriginal people here in Australia that's going to make change. It's you guys are going to make the change. It's for people to start calling it out, to having those conversations, to, you know, to their friends, families. Start those conversations early in school, because no one's born racist. And I've always said that everyone's learnt it along the way somewhere or heard it along the way somewhere. So it's always I come back to education, start the conversations, call it out, because it's the only way that we're going to move forward together as one. And when I'm done footy, I'm still gonna be there for the rest of the Aboriginal boys that are still playing. I'm still gonna help them. I'm still gonna be their support, a shoulder to lean on, and I'll still call it out even when I'm not playing footy. I'll still use my voice. I'll still try and make change. But like I said, I can't do it myself. We need everyone to chip in.
Eddie, we know you're very close to David Teague. How's he going, and do you think he's been treated fairly, I suppose, by the media, by the club, by the football world at large?
Yeah, he's going all right. Like I said, I'm pretty close with David. I've been speaking to him, so he's pretty good. He's pretty calm. He's always been calm, and the way that he dresses us and the team, and like I said before, like it's doesn't always fall back on the one person. We're a footy club, we're a team, and we're the ones out there playing, and so we have to be held responsible as well and accountable for our actions as well. I mean, last week, you know, we lost by 95 points, and that's not on David, that's on us. We're out there playing, so he's doing okay.
Eddie, can you see yourself playing at any level next year, or is this it for you?
I'd say it's a good question because I've had a lot of calls, and my brother-in-law already hooked me up. He said he hooked me up with the Rowley Lions up in Rowley. I think it's in the Ovens and Kings, and he said you can come down there. We'll put you in the forward pocket, and you're up on the ovens, so we'll give you a ride on the boat. We'll give you some cheese so you can try to catch some cod, and that's your payment. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll go up, and I said I'll support you. I'll sit on the sidelines. But yeah, I spoke to my wife about it, and I feel like I think it's it for me. I get more enjoyment, to be honest. I get more enjoyment out of watching my kids play. I get more frustrated too, sitting and watching him play. I'm like, run, and I'm trying to yell at him on the sideline. So I've got to kind of keep it down a little bit. But the next phase of me is just watching my kids play, and I'm all about kids sports now because I got 5 kids, and I'll be enjoying driving them around the country to play and watch.
Eddie, you changed football. How did football change you from the young boy that you were, when you came across to Melbourne as well?
I guess it's taught me to be, in a sense, to speak up. I spoke to a lot of people because when I got to the AFL system, I couldn't read or write properly. I went to school. I skipped a lot, but I haven't got in front of a class and spoke to anyone. And so I learned that by when I got drafted, going to schools, talking to kids. And when I first did it, because I couldn't talk in front of a class, I knew I was good at footy. So I said, all right, let's go and kick the footy. And I didn't want to talk. But now when I go to schools, I don't want to kick the footy. I just want to sit in the classroom and talk to them because I love speaking now. But it taught me to use my voice and to speak up. And a lot of that help was through my wife as well to help me speak up and believe in what I say and believe in my culture. And yeah, it's actually been a crazy journey, a wonderful journey, and I'm gonna really miss playing AFL footy. I am. I was just watching highlights just before with all the crowds there, and I was actually kind of getting sad. I walked off Adelaide Oval last week, and I started crying. I bawled my eyes out in the change rooms, and the boys are looking at me, and they didn't know at that stage that I was going to retire. I knew that I was going to retire, and because I had some fun on that oval. I made that oval kind of my own in a sense, or one end anyway, and I walked off and I bawled my eyes out, and yeah, it was a really sad moment because playing for the Adelaide Football Club for 6 years over there on that oval, because that oval was pretty special, and I would say that's the second best oval in Australia apart from the MCG, and what we achieved on that oval was special, and I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the fans over at Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide and Adelaide, because it was a special place to be.
Eddie, you mentioned before how you've opened your home to the young up-and-coming Indigenous players. How much have you loved seeing them make their mark on the game?
Yeah, it's special. I mean, Charlie, I just spoke to Charlie just before. I just texted him, and because he texted me just thanking me on a wonderful career and me being a role model to him and for helping him at an early age, and to see him blossom into what he's doing now, it's exciting. It really is. The stuff that he's doing now is crazy, and kicked 6 goals on a weekend up there. Brisbane Lions are flying, and that's the team that we're going to follow now. We're going to follow these young Aboriginal boys, and hopefully they can put on a show. My time's done. Cyril Rioli's time's done. You got Cozzy Pickett coming through. You got Charlie Cameron coming through. You got these young Aboriginal boys that are exciting. The next generation that are going to put the bums on the seats. They're going to bring people to the game because it's just so exciting just to watch them play and see what they do. And I look at stuff that they're doing. I'm like, how do they do that? I can't do that. It's crazy. The things that Cozzy and Charlie can do. Take hangers, kick goals. It's pretty special to watch, and I'm going to enjoy sitting back on the couch with my son and watching these type of players play.
Eddie, you mentioned Adam Goodes and what he's what he's meant to you and how you looked up to him. Have you heard from him since you made your announcement?
Yeah, I have. I guess last week when all the stuff was happening throughout the week, especially with the Racing saga, and I felt like I was drained and I was tired, and I was driving to training. I think it was on Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, and I said, I'll call Adam, and I called up Adam and had a good chat to him for about half an hour, just getting some advice and seeing how he dealt with it and how he felt, and I had a good conversation with him, and he basically, I told him, listen, I'm going to hang up the boots next week. No one knows that yet, and basically gave me some support, some guidance, and said, mate, the next chapter of your life is going to be pretty special, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I can't wait to catch up for a nice glass of red and a yarn.